Hello, everyone. I'm Melissa Nicolosi, and I'm a senior here at West Islip High School. Welcome to Student Voices, the podcast where we share real stories and experiences from our high school students and staff. Today's episode is about the importance of participating in extracurricular activities. Here's our first guest, Liv, who will share some of her knowledge on this topic.
Hi everyone, I'm Olivia Casal, and I think that extracurriculars are a big part of our high school career. It is very important to be involved in the school and know everything it offers. Whether it's joining a sport team, participating in a school play, writing for the school newspaper, or volunteering in the community, extracurriculars offer a platform for students to develop new skills.
Thanks, Liv. Now we have Mr. Cohen to talk about this.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And I think this is a really great thing to talk about because being involved in school is so important for so many different reasons. And one of the reasons that we're so into trying to bring clubs to the school and get you involved is that there are a ton of studies that suggest that being more involved in extracurricular activities help you build your school connectedness as well as your social competence because you're being introduced to a variety of different people and situations that you may not normally have within the school day. And that's improving your social competence and your overall social emotional well-being, and in turn, helping out your overall academic performance.
Thanks, Mr. Cohen. What are you involved in?
So I'm involved in a couple of things here at West Islip High School. One of them is I am the head coach of the Unified Basketball Team. The Unified Basketball Team is an inclusive basketball team where students of all abilities within our high school are able to participate and play, and we have a really awesome time. And if you asked anyone on the team from last year, they'd tell you that we had an absolute blast. And it really, again, gives you an opportunity to meet and connect with students that you may normally not be able to throughout the school day. And in addition to that, I also run Natural Helpers, which is a club that's used to help destigmatize mental health by providing awareness to different mental health initiatives. And we also offer peer support because sometimes we know that students don't always want to talk to a psychologist or social worker or school counselor or even their favorite teacher, but they may want to talk to their, someone that they know that's a trusted support member in the building.
Extracurricular activities are not only a great way to get involved, but to make new friends. Making new friends can be hard for people, especially in high school. When joining clubs or sports, it opens up a perfect opportunity to meet new people and talk to people you wouldn't have talked to before.
Thank you guys so much for your insight. I hope Mr. Cohen and Liv helped you all understand how important extracurricular activities are. Thanks for watching and see you next time.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Student Voices, Stories from the High School podcast. I'm Jada Hirschfield, and today we're going to talk about teenagers' sleeping patterns and how sleep affects their school performance, mood, and work ethics. Today I'm here with Andy Sarznicki and Mr. Bellitti to talk about our experiences with balancing sleep and high school life. Andy, how does sleeping affect you?
I usually go to bed early, around 9 p.m. to 10 p.m., but it honestly doesn't help me, because I have to wake up around 5:40 every day, and each time I'm groggy and irritable. I think most teenagers have these problems, and it would be best to make school start later. Problems like stress and hormones mean that teenagers need more sleep than adults and children.
Interesting take, and I think most students would love that. But Mr. Bellitti, do students need more sleep than adults? Can you explain to us how sleeping affects most high school students?
Of course, and thanks for having me here today. Everyone has their own deal with sleep, whatever he or she may need. Now, students, you have the budget of time, adults have the budget of time, and I know I'm getting off the question on the fact, hey, leave me alone! I'm tired, all right? I'm in no mood for this today. What, dude, what is the deal? Okay, just chill. Give me my coffee. Oh my God! So we get these this feedback from individuals who don't sleep enough. But you got to get enough sleep. And when we say students and adults, it's for both. So you study until what time at night, or you're doing whatever it is. Budget your time. Get sleep. Plenty of time, as far as early enough. And I would say start school at 6:20 compared to 7:20. And just go to bed earlier. Then we get at 1:10. How cool would that be? But get enough sleep, real important for students and adults.
Thank you. Um, I hear from most students that they stay up late from the hours of 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. and go to school. How does this affect their health?
I mean, I just think that's late to get to sleep. I mean, picture someone's out fishing until 4 in the morning. They come home, taking a shower, and they go right to school. It just, it doesn't really make sense. Students doing whatever it is till whatever time. And now with social media, everyone's doing the social media stuff till whatever time. The 12 to 5 deal, I just don't think is enough. So you should definitely get sleep earlier. Do the right thing for yourself, and it makes the day go a lot better.
Thank you. I think that's very important
Thanks.
information. My sleep schedule is very off. Some days I go to bed at 7 p.m. and other days I don't sleep until 3 a.m. But when I'm in school, I'm mostly awake. I don't show up that much though, because when I do go to bed really late, some nights past 3, I just won't wake up at all. But the days I do go with absolutely no sleep, I get very irritable and I will not have a great day. On the days I do get a good amount of sleep, I'm usually in a good mood and have better days. Thank you, everyone. This was a very informative episode of the podcast. Thank you, Polity and Andy, for coming in. I hope other students understand how important sleep is. Goodbye.
Yeah, get some sleep.
Welcome to Student Voices, Stories from the High School, the podcast where we get into the real stories, struggles, and solutions that shape the high school experience. I'm your host, Kayla Frangolis, and today we're tackling two big things that I think we can all relate to: procrastination and TikTok. Yup, you heard that right. We're diving into how procrastination takes over our lives and how TikTok plays a major role in all of that.
Hi everyone, I'm Allison DiMaggio and I'm definitely guilty of procrastination. Like I should be studying for my math test right now, but here I am, chatting about procrastination instead. Honestly, when I get home from school, all motivation is lost and I end up taking a 2-hour nap. The thought of even opening up a book or an assignment is awful to me and most students. After a long day at school, the last thing I want to do is come home and do more school. Even after a nap, my homework barely gets done because I can't stop scrolling through TikTok, and honestly, I'm exhausted.
Right? TikTok is such a huge part of the procrastination puzzle for so many of us. You start with one quick video, and suddenly it's 2 hours later, and you've watched 40 videos of dancing, pranks, and let's be honest, way too many get ready with me vlogs. Now, let's hear from our special guest, Miss Palmieri.
Hi, thanks for having me. So the obsession with social media is not just for students, it's for adults too. The reason why it can cause procrastination is because, like Maddie said, sometimes academics can feel overwhelming, they can feel stressful, they can basically feel unpleasant. So usually TikTok is something that's more fun, it's a distraction, and it provides instant gratification. So in that in itself, you'd rather be doing that instead of your work. The reason why it becomes all of a sudden 2 hours is because usually social media can release something called dopamine, which feels good in our brain and makes us want more of it. So, and actually our body also gets used to the level of dopamine, and then it's kind of almost like an addiction, and then you're not getting that gratification anymore, so you want more and more of it. So that means more and more time possibly on social media. And that in itself, it's taking up the time that you could be doing other things. So yeah, basically TikTok is more fun and it distracts you from something a little bit more unpleasant. And it's releasing a neurotransmitter in your brain that makes you want to do it more and more and more.
Thank you so much for your insight. Maddie, do you have any questions?
Sure. Do you have any tips how students like me can reduce procrastination?
Yes. Well, one is finding a different way to release that same chemical, the dopamine levels. So something maybe a little more healthy, like going for a walk, or even like resting a little bit could be good, or meditation practices. Sometimes like playing an instrument could be nice. And also just there are apps, I think, that limit your time on social media. It reminds you how long it's been because it might surprise you how long it's been. Like you said, all of a sudden a lot of time goes by. or quick. Also, you can just set a timer. I actually do suggest that you have every day a certain amount of time where you put your phone in another room and make it like a structured time. So it's not, I'll just get to that another day or another time every day from 3 to 4 p.m. I do not have my phone on me, and I do my academics, and then the timer goes off, and as I'm doing it, I guess I'll still do it. So just having the phone not near you and downloading those apps that limit your social media use, I think are really helpful according to research.
Thank you so much. Those were such great tips. This has been such a great conversation. I think we've got a better understanding of why we procrastinate, how TikTok fits into that, and how to find a balance. Ms. Palmieri and Maddie, thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you all enjoyed this episode of Student Stories from the High School, and we'll see you next time.
Welcome back to today's podcast, everyone. On today's episode of Navigating Your Future, we are going to be diving into the long-awaited college application process.
Also, joining me and McKenna today is college freshman seminar teacher Mr. Wallace, and we are going to share our own stories and provide some tips from our expert. McKenna and I have had very different experiences this far, and you will get to learn about them. McKenna, want to explain your process with sports involved?
Personally, for me, my college process started back in 9th grade, and I had to go to many different colleges and college camps and email all the different colleges, and September 1st, my junior year, is when I could finally talk to the coaches personally and direct and pick a college. So that's how my process went with sports involved.
Well, I have applied the normal way, I guess you could say, and I have encountered numerous obstacles this far. And I started this year applying in the beginning in September through the regular Common App like everyone sees, and I created a new email just for college. But that's where the problem started to happen. My first Google tried to delete my email and lock me out of it, but we got it back. And then all the emails that everyone was receiving to set up portal accounts with colleges and everything, I wasn't receiving any of those emails. So I had to go through and call every single one of my colleges, actually, and see if they could resend it to me or maybe make me have a new email to put in or anything. And I've even had to go to Mr. Wallace to help me make the phone calls just to receive those emails.
So my experience with the process, I wouldn't rather say it's student athlete versus normal. I think the process is the same. I just think that the student that wants to play college athletics has to do, as McKenna said, a little bit more in the beginning with the contacting of the coaches, attending play dates, doing some research, seeing who may be interested and who isn't interested. A student that doesn't want to participate in college athletics can wait a little bit longer, but they can also do some research regarding location, distance from home, college program, potentially what they want to major in and pursue in their career in life after college. As Ashley Rose just said, she did have a little bit of trouble. She remained pretty calm, cool, and collective. And we called the admissions offices and spoke to people that were very helpful. And once we did it once or twice, she realized that she got over, I guess, the fear of having to speak to somebody and asking for help. But she realized very quickly that people on the other end of the phone were willing to help with that. Yeah, so McKenna was going to say that the sports process and what tips do you have for going through the sports process. I kind of answered that in recruitment. I do have 5 children myself, 2 of which are in college, 2 of which are playing D2 and D3 athletics. It really has to come from the kids want to pursue that because it can be a full-time job. My 3 other kids, my one daughter is a junior. She is looking to pursue it at a Division I level. And it's a lot of work. It's not really for everybody. The student has to be committed to do it, and sometimes when they realize it's kind of like buyer's remorse, they get what they want, and then it doesn't turn out the way they want. At the end of the day, you have to graduate a college degree, and I don't believe anyone's going to be making a living off that, so you have to get a job that you love and be prepared to do that job in the future.
Sounds like good advice to me.
Do you have any general tips for kids that are going to start applying soon and in the coming years?
I think one tip that I realize is you have to be honest. You have to have honest discussions with the parents regarding cost. You know, what is realistic? How much loan debt does the student want to incur? Do they really want to go far away from home, even though that at the time they feel like they do? But once they get there, there's a lot of different issues that we talk about in college freshman seminar. Homesick being one of them, student loan debt being another, and then being on your own. Just simple things. Doing your laundry, not having your parents, choosing a roommate, living with somebody that you don't know as a stranger. So you have to be realistic and honest. And whatever college you choose to go to, you can make it the best experience.
Well, that's all we have for today's episode. Thank you, Mr. Wallace, for joining us and for some great tips.
Thank you for bringing me on.
Of course. See you next time on Navigating Your Future.
Hey everyone, welcome to Student Voices, Stories from the High School, the podcast where we talk about everything related to high school. I'm your host, Nick Olson. I'm joined with Mr. O'Farrell and Jack Harvell. And today's episode is all about balancing the passion of sports with the demands of academics. For many student athletes, juggling sports and school can be a tricky feat, but it's also one of the most rewarding challenges you could face. In today's episode, we'll hear from a student athlete who has learned to find that balance, plus we'll get some expert tips on time management and staying focused. Whether you're on the field or in the classroom, today's episode is going to be for you. First up, we're going to hear from Jack, a senior who's been playing on the varsity lacrosse team since sophomore year. Jack has been able to maintain high grades while excelling in sports, but it wasn't always easy. Let's hear his story.
Yeah, so a student athlete, not the easiest task in the world, but I always make sure I balance my schedule. All my schoolwork comes first. I always make sure I communicate to my teachers when I need a little extra time, maybe because I was at a late night practice or something.
Of course. Yeah.
And also talking to your coach is very important, because if you have a big project due, but you know you got to practice, sometimes the project has to come first, and you need a very understanding coach. So everything's about time management. That's about it.
Yeah, so Jack's story is just such a great example of how organization and communication are key when it comes to managing both sports and schoolwork. It's not always easy, but with a plan, it's definitely doable. Now let's dive a little deeper into the strategies for balancing sports with academics. We're bringing in an expert. We're joined today by a high school principal who has worked with student athletes for over a decade. Mr. O'Farrell, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Nick. It's great to be here and to talk about such an important topic.
So, Mr. O'Farrell, Jack mentioned how important it was for him to stay on top of his assignments and communicate with teachers. What other tips do you have for students trying to balance sports and academics?
Well, first, I just want to say I think Jack had a really great point about making sure you're using time management and using your calendar and making sure you communicate both with your teachers and your coaches. But I would also just say to that, in that in that calendar, to make sure you're building in time for rest and sleep. Because if you're exhausted or wear too thin to do things, you're not going to be accomplishing on the field, and you're not going to be accomplishing in the classroom. So make sure you balance and build in time for rest and recovery during that time. The other thing I would say is also leverage your resources. Making sure that you communicate with your teacher and taking advantage of any type of extra help that they're offering. That really will help you maintain a good average especially in something that is a course that's challenging or a course that's difficult. You want to make sure that you're getting all the resources you can. One thing that I used to utilize when I was a student athlete was making sure we had study groups. I would get a bunch of friends. I was always nice to everyone in the class, so I would ask them and meet, and we meet in the library, meet after school, meet before school, and just kind of collaborate on what the important topics are, what the important knowledge we need to know, and kind of explain our understandings of things, and that really helped me out. The other thing I would say to lean on your family and friends. They're here to support you too. Make sure they're aware of your calendar. Make sure they're aware of the big things going on, so they can help you, support you as much as possible. And always try to find a mentor. I know that I had teachers that would help me when I was through things or struggling through things, and also one of my assistant coaches, Mr. Spicer, Coach Spicer, was always there to help me as well. So just making those connections and having those relationships will help.
That's excellent advice, Mr. O'Farrell. Thank you. So, Jack, is it easy to get extra help after school, maybe having an important practice that day?
Not always the easiest, but extra help and performing in the classroom comes first. So the coach always has to understand you, and I think that's the most important thing about being a coach is being flexible with your players.
So, Mr. O'Farrell, with your experience playing sports in high school and college, was it always easy to get extra help after school?
Well, easy is kind of a tricky word. I think you really have to make it a priority to get the extra help, and it has to be something that you make sure you build into your calendar, and make sure you communicate well with the teacher and the coach. The coach needs to know that you may be late for a practice, but the academics needs to be the number one priority always. So will it be a challenge? Probably yes, but you have to be on top of that, making sure your calendar is up to date and you're making sure you're communicating to both teacher and coach that this is where you need to be at this time.
Yeah, I agree. School should always come first, no matter the situation. Well, that's all we have for today's episode of Student Voices. I would like to thank Mr. O'Farrell for joining us, as well as Jack Harvell, and we'll see you guys all on the next show.
Thank you. It's great, guys.
Thank you.